while you're here, don't forget to check out the xreport.net. I repeat, the xreport.net for exclusive sports content written by yours truly as well as fellow writers. Welcome everybody to the second edition of the X Report podcast. I'm Raven X, and alongside me, as always, is one of my closest friends and my own personal Brown Panther, Malik Robinson. Malik, welcome to the show.
How y'all doing today? Welcome to be back.
We didn't really properly get to introduce ourselves in our first podcast due to some technological difficulties. So let's just go ahead and get out the way. I'm Raven X. I'm the founder of the X Report, and I'm very, very happy to be bringing this to you. Now, just so you know, if you hear any biases in me, it's because I'm a huge Ravens fan and Lakers fan. So any biases, I do apologize in advance, but we're really excited to bring the show to you. And Malik, introduce yourself.
Yes, how y'all doing? My name is Malik Robinson, but you call me Malik X. Just as she said, to piggyback on what she said, I'm pretty biased too when it comes to Carolina and also when it comes to the Browns. As far as basketball, I'm a Melo fan, so right now I'm with OKC bandwagon, But if I be Melo, I'm sorry about that, if I be biased, but hey, what you gonna do?
Exactly. So we got a pretty stacked show for you guys tonight. First off, we're going to talk about Daniel Bryan, get a little love for our wrestling fans. We're going to discuss 3 of our favorite and least favorite moves of free agency, and then we're going to get into our mock drafts, and then we're going to close out the show for you. So without further ado, let's get started. So Daniel Bryan. Recently, this past Tuesday, he was cleared for in-ring action after almost over 2 years of not being able to be in the ring. And so I think I just started off by saying, and feel free to come at me on Twitter or whatever. But honestly, I wasn't that big of a Daniel Bryan fan in his prime. So when it came out that he was healthy, I wasn't necessarily gung-ho about it. But it's cool. I mean, I'm all for seeing someone being healthy. So I'm excited to see what he does back in the ring, see how he's used. What about you, Malik? How you feel?
I'm not really that excited to see Daniel Bryan. I wasn't a Daniel Bryan fan either when he was healthy. The thing about Daniel Bryan, I believe he was so much over was the simple fact that, that he was a little guy. I think he was just what you can say a bell cow for the fans to use as far as we want this guy. We don't want this guy. We want this guy. So I guess fans got behind him for that reason. He's talented in the ring, though, but I wasn't a fan of him. I didn't like the whole yes thing. It got annoying. But as far as in-ring performances, I think he's a pretty good wrestler, but I just wasn't a fan. I'm pretty much excited to see what he do, how they use him. He's a new star. WWE need more stars. Hopefully they keep him on SmackDown because they need more stars over there. But hopefully we'll see what they do.
All right, so next question. Who is your dream opponent for him now that he's back healthy? Who are you most excited to see him go up against?
I mean, there's a lot of people you can see him wrestle. I mean, you got, of course, people are going to say AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor. But me personally, I know this is not going to break any waves or make people be like, ooh, but I would like to see him versus The Miz. The reason why I say this is because they have history. The Miz, when he burned him on the podcast show with that promo, how The Miz stole his kicks, his yes kicks. And also, if The Miz keeps the Intercontinental Championship, I can see The Miz coming over to SmackDown during the draft, when I'm starting the feud with Daniel Bryan. I think it'll be a feud of the year type of feud. Both of them can talk on the mic. But yeah, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see as his first feud. I love to see him versus The Miz, because The Miz was making fun of him when he couldn't wrestle, told him that, you're never healthy, so this would be a good time to pick up on that rivalry. They don't like each other, so I like to see him versus The Miz. It's not flashy, but
I think as a character feud, I think that's a very interesting one because like you said, The Miz did steal the yes kicks. They did have a lot of verbal altercations when The Miz was on SmackDown, so I definitely can understand where you're coming from. I think for me, I would say my dream opponent for him would be Finn Balor. I would say Finn Balor because both of them at their best are very technical and they both are so over, and I'd be really interested to see who the fans really get behind. I, of course, me personally, I would like to see Finn win that match, but Daniel will win it. But I think it'd be interesting. They're both very technical wrestlers and great performers, and I just feel like it'd be a great match setup. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but it's one of the many matches that I'm sure fans would be dying to see. All right, so that was just our little quick wrestling tidbit because we got a long show. So let's go on and move over to free agency. So Malik, I'm gonna let you start off. Three of your favorite free agency moves so far and why?
That's so hard. Okay, I guess this is an easy one. I'm gonna give myself an easy one. I'm gonna say I like the moves that Green Bay has done with the additions of Morgan Renette and also Jimmy Graham. I think they took care of a need. Um, you know what I'm saying? Not the additional Morgan Renette. I'm sorry, the departure. I'm sorry about that. My mistake. The Jimmy Graham thing. That was part of my dislike. I didn't like, but what I did like about the Jimmy Graham thing, like I said before, Aaron Rodgers loves his tight ends. Jimmy Graham is a red zone threat. He's one of the better tight ends in the league. I believe he's going to thrive in Green Bay with the quarterback that he got thrown to him. Um, that's one of my favorite moves. Now, another move that I like. I'm a Browns fan, so I'm about to be biased. I like the EJ Gaines move. I think it's their best, as far as their best besides Randall, it's their best defensive back move simply because they needed corners. And they got him for cheap. I think it was 1 year, $4 million with initiatives that could be $5 million.
Something like that.
But I like that signing for them. If he can stay healthy, he has the potential to be a number one corner on their team. Um, that's another move I like. So good for them. And I guess last but not least, man, another move that I like would have to be the Tyler Gabriel sign for Chicago. I know that's a shocker, but Chicago got him for pretty cheap. Good slot receiver,
For a year,
reliable,
26 mil.
speedy. So it can help Mitch. Mitch. Mitch like to do little dump off passes, so they can get him there. But as far as those moves, I think they're good value moves. I think it helps their quarterbacks. I think it helps their teams. It makes their teams actually better. But how about you, Ray? What you like? What's your three moves?
I think that probably the universal favorite move of all free agency has to go to the Texans, signing Tyrann Mathieu for a 1 year, $7 million deal. Because no one can tell me that, first off, Tyrann Mathieu was going to sign a 1 year deal. No, you can't tell me a team wasn't willing to throw the Brinks truck at him, give him as many years as he wanted. But not only that, but it's only 7 mil. He was making 12.5 million in Arizona. And I understand Tyrann was saying it wasn't about the money, but you would have thought he at least would have gotten 10 million. So for Houston to be able to not only fill one of their biggest needs, especially considering they don't have a draft pick in the first 2 rounds, so you're getting one of the best safeties in the league who can also play nickel corner, and you can get him cheap. I don't see a problem with it at all. Tyrann Mathieu is going to come in and come into a defense that also has J.J. Watt, who we all know how great he is when he's healthy, Whitney Merciless, who I feel is one of the most underrated defensive players in the league, and a healthy Jadeveon Clowney. So the Texans defense is going to be it's going to be nice. I mean, especially with the emergence of the Jacksonville Jags and the Titans trying to find offensive pieces. I feel like the AFC South is going to be put on notice, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Another move that I really, really liked was the Cowboys making defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence prove he's more than a one-hit wonder. Now, I understand we all love sacks. We all love big plays, and he had a lot of them. He had 14 and a half this past season. But you also have to take into account the year before, he only had 1 sack total. And over the 4 years of his career, he's been very up and down. Either he's been hurt or suspended. So you never really knew what you were going to get out of DeMarcus Lawrence. So props to you for getting your 14 and a half sacks, but can you do it again? I want to see if you can continue to be a progressive member of this team. So giving him a franchise tag is going to make him prove it again. If he can prove it, I'll give him the money. But as of right now, I'm not willing to do that. So the Cowboys,
Do Dallas have any money? Sorry to interrupt.
Not
Do they
much.
have any money to
No,
give?
because Dez doesn't want to restructure his deal, which article will be coming up about that soon. So be patient. Look out for the xreport.net. I repeat, the xreport.net. But no, definitely DeMarcus Lawrence, giving him that franchise tag, make him prove that he's worth the money. And if he does it again, give him the money. And, Dallas and Jerry Jones, they're very quick to rush to make decisions. I like that they're letting this one play itself out and see where it goes. And my final move that I can say I really, really liked was the 49ers signing Richard Sherman to a 3-year, $39 million deal. That's cheap. Considering how much money Kyle Fuller is about to get from Chicago, considering how much money Aaron Colvin is getting in Houston, that's a great deal. That is a phenomenal deal. And not to mention Tremaine Johnson, who's getting unnecessary money. But we'll talk about that later. We'll get more into those bad deals. But no, Richard Sherman going to the 49ers, not only does he get to face his former team 2 times a season, but he also gets to be the leader in that locker room they need, a major face on that defense. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. You know that the 49ers are on their way up, trying to be one of the better teams, especially in a tough NFC division conference. So I'm excited to see what they do. All right, 3 moves you didn't like.
Oh, this is easy. This is the easy part.
Way
I
easy.
think the worst move of the offseason has to go to Arizona. I mean, they literally just threw Bradford that money. What was it? 1 year, 20 mil.
1 year, 20 mil.
1 year, how much?
1 year, 20 million.
Yeah, they threw 20 million at him. Really, that's the worst move of the offseason. Let me read you some stats about Bradford. Bradford over his career has made $134 million for a quarterback who has no Pro Bowls. He has missed 35 games as a starter. He's never passed 4,000 yards. Let me put that in perspective. Out of 80 starts that he has started, he's 34, 45, and 1 as a career starter in the NFL. This dude has made $134 million over his career for what? And they just threw $20 million at him. So the only reason why I say this is a bad mistake, you let Tyrann Mathieu walk, one of the better safeties in the league. You let him walk essentially to pay for Bradford.
It's crazy.
The guy is always hurt. That's why I think Arizona, I don't know what Arizona's doing down there in the desert, but man, that has to be the worst free agent signing of the year. Hands down. $20 million for 1 year for a quarterback who's done absolutely nothing. Didn't do anything in St. Louis. Did nothing in Philadelphia. Did nothing in Minnesota.
I hear you.
Like I said, again, 34, 45, 1, missed 35 games. Never passed over 4,000 yards. Only accomplishment was Rookie of the Year in 2010. And I mean, if you look at that class on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, I can't really think of nobody off the top of my head who's really relevant. So, I mean, but anyways, there's only accomplishment.
I mean, looking back, it seems like his rookie season was a million years ago, especially with how his career played out. And that deal only looks worse when you look at the other deals going around the league. You look at AJ McCarron, he signed a 2-year, $10 million deal. Most likely, he's going to be the starter for the Bills this year. You look at Chase Daniels. So it's a lot of bad deals that have been going on, but this one's real bad.
I mean, Arizona, you could have drafted somebody, and I believe they will, but 20 mil? Like, you had Bridgewater available. You had all these guys available. Like you said, AJ McCarron, like 20 mil for Bradford? I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see why people think he's that elite or he deserves chance after chance after chance when Colin Kaepernick can't get back in the league. And he's obviously a better quarterback, but, I guess Brett thinks Bradford's better. But, yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible for that. Another move I say I dislike, it really went undercover But a really move I didn't like about the Rams. I know the Rams are making good moves, but the move I didn't like about the Rams was trading Alec Ogletree to the Giants. I didn't like that move. Um, the reason why I didn't like that move, I didn't like that move is they traded him for a fourth. It's not a bad move, but for the Rams, when the linebacker core is probably one of their weakest, I think it was a bad move. The guy finished seventh in the league in tackles. The dude is a second team All Pro. And like I said, their linebacker core is weak. So I didn't like that move by the Rams. Everything else, the Rams are doing good. The Rams are probably the best in their division right now, which is funny because me being a St. Louis fan so long ago, never thought I'd say that.
Never.
But they're probably the best in their division. But they let Alec Ogletree go, which I don't know why. You could have kept him for one more year. But that's the second move I didn't like. Another move I didn't like, that has to probably be the second worst move in straight offseason, will be Paul Richardson going to Washington. I repeat, Paul Richardson going to Washington. The guy signed a 5-year, $40 million deal with $20 million guaranteed. And like I said once before, these people hit with these 1-year wonders, man. This guy last year had his best year with 44 catches, 703 yards, 6 touchdowns. Before last year, the guy never topped 300 yards receiving in the season. So, think about that. Before last year, he has never topped 300 yards receiving in a season. And Washington just threw money at him. $20 million guaranteed for a below average wide receiver.
You and I have a lot of conversations about like the free agency deals, and I think that one thing that we've really been able to agree on is when you look at the contracts that these DBs and these wide receivers are getting, it shows the faith that they have in this draft class. Because you're seeing receivers who, like initially, the big horrible deal was Ryan Grant going to Baltimore, 4-year, $29 million deal. Who outside of Washington really knew who Ryan Grant was? In his 4-year combined, he did not eclipse over 1,000 yards as a career total. So, and then we could other talk about deals like Sammy Watkins getting 16 a year annually, Allen Robinson getting 14 a mil annually, and it's just things like that that are just like what. Also, Albert Wilson in Miami. So it's a lot of deals that just make us think, well, what's up? Do they know something about this receiver class that we don't? But yeah, it just definitely puts things into perspective. All right, 3 moves I didn't like. Now I know I just spoke really highly of the Texans, but now I gotta dog them a little bit. Signing cornerback Aaron Colvin to a 4-year, $34 million deal. First off, he wasn't even. That's money you give a number 1 or maybe number 2 cornerback, not a number 3 who hardly saw the field. And prior to this past season, he's had a lot of injury concerns. Don't get me wrong, I like Aaron Colvin, I do, but I don't like him enough to give him $8.5 million a year. And if you look at who was on the market when they did re-sign him, when they did sign him, DRC was still available, Mo Claiborne, and as you can see, they got signed for much cheaper. Or you know that DRC is going to command $8.5 million a season. So I feel like they overpaid a little bit. Now I'll say this: they didn't overpay as much as Jacksonville did for DJ Hayden, but we're not going to get into that. Another move I did not like. Well, I guess you could say it's a collection of moves by their fellow AFC South members, the Tennessee Titans. Them giving cornerback Malcolm Butler a 5-year, $61 million deal. If there is any player in any sport living off one play, you cannot give me a better example than Malcolm Butler's interception in Super Bowl 49. Now, I understand that game, he was huge. That play won the Super Bowl, yippee-yah-yah. What has he done else in the league? The following year, he did have 4 interceptions, but this past year, I want to say he had 1. Malcolm
He went to
Butler,
the Pro Bowl. He went to the Pro Bowl 1 year, didn't he?
he did go 1 year, but that's really it. Malcolm Butler is not a premier cornerback, and I understand the Titans do need
Is he better
corners.
than Josh Norman?
No,
Okay.
no, he's not. I might call him a top 15 corner, but if you're just barely in the top 15 corner range, you shouldn't be making this much money. And I could also talk about Deion Lewis going to Tennessee, but because it's only $5 million a year, even though I feel like that is still a bit too much for a player who did excel with the Patriots, but never was purely dominant, I still feel like they did overpay. But I feel like Tennessee is so hungry to have winners in their locker room, they're willing to throw away cap in other places where they could have got better options. And my final move that baffles me to this day, and will stand and beat on the table to say is the worst move by far. San Francisco 49ers giving quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo $137 million 5-year deal for 5 games. I'm sorry, you may not have heard me. I'm going to say it again for you. After only starting 5 games with the franchise, he got signed to a 5-year, $137 million deal.
Well, they got a better winning record than Sam Bradford.
Riddle me this. Riddle me this. If all I had to do was start 5 games in the NFL to get $27.4 million annually, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Will we be great? Probably not. But if I'm getting this much money, cool. Now, I like the 49ers. I like what they're doing. I promise I do. But this move rings of being desperate. Now, I understand the quarterback market was a little so-so. Everybody did think they were going to get Kirk Cousins, but Jimmy Garoppolo came and won those games, so they found their other option. I respect that. I do. But this is way, way, way too much money. Had he had a whole season under his belt, maybe we could talk. But if only 5 games, the only quarterbacks I think about giving that money to is Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or Drew Brees. I can't think of anyone else. And I like Russell Wilson. Wouldn't give him that much money. Matt Ryan's fine. Wouldn't give him that much money. I like Matthew Stafford. Not giving him that much money. So I definitely don't really understand the logic behind it. And I'm not gonna lie, the Kirk Cousins signing was almost picked here, cause that 84 million guaranteed over 3 years. That's scary.
Yeah,
That's scary for any team.
that man can say F football and leave, and guess what? He got 84 million.
He's still getting that money. He's still getting it. So, but you know what? This edged it out just a little bit because at least from Kirk Cousins, we've seen him starting for years, whereas Jimmy Garoppolo only 5 games. I'm a little apprehensive about that. I don't necessarily like it. But at least I'm not in that locker room. I understand they think he can win them games, which I'm sure he can. But that's a lot of money for 5 games. You got to show me more than that. If anything, I might have franchise tagged him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.